Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic. Now, have you heard? Asks Rysmith. And I think the answer to what he or she is wondering whether we have heard is in the above the top row of the grid. So we will look at this amusing puzzle in a moment. And firstly, I will tell you lots of things. If you're watching this as it's come out, you might want to wait on this video and go and watch us streaming live. We're going to be having a go at a game. I think it might be Cryptmaster, and that is a live stream happening at 10 p.m. UK time on the 4th. And do check out the VOD if you haven't watched the live stream. I'm sure it'll be interesting. We haven't really streamed for quite a while, so I'm looking forward to it. That's one thing going on. Another thing going on is on Patreon we have our monthly hunt. It's very hard. Well, it's hard. It's a pack of sandwiches called Hollywood Lunchbox, and the first puzzle's difficult and the fourth puzzle's difficult, and you have to do each puzzle to get information for the next. It's pretty tough going, but very well done to those people who've got through it. And some of those have been very complimentary about the pack, so it may be very rewarding. Give it a try. There's also other stuff on Patreon, including connections and crosswords and just more content. So that's on Patreon. There's our apps, which include, what's relevant to today? Thermo Sudoku, Killer Sudoku, Arrow Sudoku, and indeed Sandwich Sudoku is relevant, I think, today. So do check those out. They are all on. There's a link to the CTC app. You need different links for all the Steam ones, but just follow the links under the video and you can get to the apps and get hold of them. Sven's Sudoku Pad has turned 4, so congratulations to Sudoku Pad and to Sven. It is available on the links under the video, and it is a great resource. And our merchandise is something else you could get under the video. Now, I got sent a present this week, which is great. A fan of the channel sent me two mechanical pencils. And I don't think I've ever mentioned this, but this takes me right back to the dawn of Sudoku, when Sudoku was invented. At that time, I was meeting Simon once or twice a week for lunch, because we worked quite close to each other in the City of London. And when on the day that Sudoku came out in the Times newspaper, which we used to get for the crossword, we were both very interested. And I think either on that day or whatever day we met after that, we started racing each other at Sudoku. Shortly after that, the Times announced a competition to find the quickest Sudoku solver, because the puzzle was really catching on. And I think we both entered. So Simon got to the he certainly got into the competition. I didn't, which has always rankled with me a bit. I think that they were running a sort of system where you declared your own time and they were going to select the top 100. Now, I don't know, maybe 100 people declared times better than me, but the kind of honour system makes me wonder whether those would have been accurate, and indeed whether they would have, the organisers would really have cared with taking care to select the 100 quickest times, given that fairly spurious honour system. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't get into that first one, and Simon did. Anyway, before the competition, Simon said, he wanted to discuss what sort of pencil he should be using. And the conversation rather threw me, because I didn't see that it made any difference at all. I didn't mind solving Sudokus in pens or pencils. And I suppose the fact that he wanted to discuss it made me realise it would be useful to have a pencil and a rubber in case you definitely made a mistake and wanted to go backwards. But he was really focused on how fine the nib would be and how strong it would be of your propelling pencil, and how the rubber would work, and getting me to choose a particular brand of pencil. I struggled to keep up with his dedication to using the right pencil at the time. But now I have my own mechanical pencils, so maybe I will learn about this. So thank you to the sender. That wasn't the secret you were expecting to hear today. What is going on in this puzzle? Let's do the rules of Have You Heard by Rice-Smith, who has featured on the channel before. Normal Sudoku rules apply. 1 to 9 will go in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Each letter in the puzzle represents a different number between 0 and 45. A clue outside the grid shows the sum of the digits between the 1 and the 9 in that row or column. So if you had a 1 here and a 9 here, and these were 5, 3, and 2, the E would represent 10. It would be the sum of the digits between the 1 and the 9. A cage shows its sum as a letter. Along a thermometer, there's only one. Digits increase from the bulb end. Digits along an arrow, there are 2 of those, sum up to the number in the attached circle. A grey square, there's 1 of those, contains an even digit. And a digit in a white circle, so these white circles, the digits in the circles appear in the surrounding 4 cells. So that must be a set of 1, 2, 3, 9. Those are the rules. I think the letters are going to do a lot of work in this puzzle, but we've got to find out what they are. Give it a try on the first link under the video. I'm going to start now. Let's get cracking. How do we get cracking? Okay, we'll start with these arrows. 3 different numbers along an arrow must add up to 6, 7, 8, or 9. There and there. So both T and E, which are the titles of these cages, are 6, 7, 8, or 9. So I can write 6, 7, 8, or 9 into that T cage and both of these. And now we're ascending on this thermo. So T is 6, 7, or 8, and E is 7, 8, or 9. T, we are saying, is 6, 7, or 8. That's all the single cell T's and E's done. What next? Y is clearly a number. Y is clearly, that's interesting. Right, this got interesting in a hurry. This is basically, I think, a sandwich Sudoku, even though the sandwiches are confined to the columns and the first 2 rows. What I like to do in a sandwich Sudoku is colour the cells that cannot have 1s and 9s in green. And then I try and identify the cells that do have 1s and 9s in. Now, in this row, we have a single cell cage called Y, and the sandwich sum for the row is also Y. Now, that means, let's imagine Y was 9. Well, it would be tempting to think that when you found 9, well, no, that's a really poor example. Let's imagine Y was 8, which it could be at the moment, it might be. If Y was 8, this cage would contain an 8, and it would be tempting to think that that would be the contents of the sandwich, but it's not, because this can't be one of the crusts. If that digit was the whole contents of the sandwich in this row, these 2 would be 1 and 9, which we call the crusts. And I know that the metaphor doesn't really work, because the outsides of a sandwich are slices of bread, they're not the crusts, but you know what we mean. Now, what that means is that Y is not, or the sandwich in this row is not that Y. Therefore, it's in a different part of the row. And therefore, it's not a single cell, or whatever digit Y is would repeat somewhere else in the row. So the sandwich in this row is at least 2 cells. And what that means is that Y, those 2 cells can't include 1 because that's always a crust. So they're at least 2 and 3. So Y is at least 5, and it goes in here. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8. I wasn't going to write 9, but actually this could be a 9 and be a crust. And then these 2 or 3 cells could add up to 9, and you could have a 1 after them. So I'm not ruling Y out as a 9. And we're getting quite a lot of rows and columns where the sandwich sum is less than 10. Anything with E, T or Y in it, that is the case. And in fact, okay, let's look down column 9, because here we go again. That cell is an individual T. And that could this time be the contents of the sandwich. If E was a 9 and this was a 1. But this doesn't have to be the contents of the sandwich. They could appear as a pair of cells somewhere else in the column. Now, I got in trouble the other day. I failed to identify that my golf hole, which was an odd number, was odd for far too long. And somebody suggested the useful tip of pencil marking the cell at the start of the solve. So I'm doing that now. In fact, let's have a look at this S. This contains 6 digits. It adds up to at least 21 and a maximum of 39. Now, the sandwich S is in this column. The sandwich sum is at least 21. This green cell, the T cell, is in the sandwich because if it was outside the sandwich, the crusts might be here and here, but that would have to be 6, 7, 8 as a triple, and it can't be, it would break that cell. So this green cell is in this sandwich. That has ruled out 36, 37, 38 and 39 because the biggest sandwich possible is 35. If you take the sum of every row, column and box in a Sudoku, sometimes known as the secret, which is why the puzzle is so called, it is always 45. And if you remove the crusts from that, 1 and 9, you're left with 35, which is why it's the maximum sandwich sum. Now, I haven't used the triples, and it's time to do that. So, that is 2 or 8. And these are all from 2, 3, 7, 8. Oh, yes, this is not 7. That's E. Where else was E? Here. That's not 7, because we've got 1, 5, 8, 9 here. Now, I'm not eliminating 9 from a cage, because a cage could be more than 9 as a total. So that is 1, 5, 8, 9. In the box, this can't be 8 anymore. So T is 6 or 7. And now these this arrow only has to be made up of 1, 2, 3, and maybe 4. It definitely has 1 and 2 on it, and either a 3 or a 4. This quadruple says that those are from 1, 2, 3. These are from 1, 2, 3, 9, and must include a 9 now, and therefore Y is not 9, and that is not 9, and I can colour those cells green. Y is now 5, 6, 7, or 8, and is, remember, a sandwich in this row that is not that cell. So 2 of the digits, oh look, 2, 3, 7, 8, they're all non-crusts as well. So where is the sandwich in this row going to be? It's a 2-cell sandwich. I was going to say at least, but that's at most now as well. And it's not those 2 cells because they add up to at least 11. So that's green. These are the crusts. The 2-cell sandwich is here. These are 1 and 9 in some order, and we have made a start. Now, these add up to Y, which is 5, 6, 7, or 8. They will include 2 or 3. Therefore, these only include 1 of 2 or 3. I don't think I can do anything with the rest of the digits. Now, in column S, or in this column, which has a sandwich sum of S, we know that this sandwich is somewhere between, what did we say, 21, if it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not possible because these at a minimum are 2, 3, 7. So 22 is the minimum. Now there is a difference between 21 and 22, and that is the difference between a sandwich that has a minimum 3 cells, and a sandwich that has a minimum 4. And since we're up to 22, I'm making at least 4 cells in this sandwich there. Now, what did we say the maximum was? Well, 35 was the maximum, and that was when we could put the crusts here and here. We can't do that anymore. This is at least a 2. So 33 is now the maximum sandwich here. That would require these to add up to 12, and although they couldn't do that with this being 8, they could if it was 2. So I'll leave that point alone. That is not a sandwich cell. There is going to be one somewhere here. It could be X, or it could be in the T cage, although it wouldn't be a 1 then. 1 and 2 have been used in this box. So that's 3, 4, 5, or 6. X is on this arrow, so it can't be more than 6, which is here as well. So it can't be a 9. E is 8 or 9. What? Oh yeah, the total of this cage is 8 or 9. In fact, we could almost start colouring E. We've got those two, and it must be in one of those 2 cells. I'm not going to do... Well, okay, let's think about that. I'm actually going to think about colouring T. Let's do it. Let's give T a bit of yellow, or orange maybe, for contrast with the green. These cells are all definitely T. So's that one, actually. Now, where's T in box 7 in one of those 2 cells? In this box, it's in one of those 2, and they're in the H cage. Ooh, if T was 7, that would have to be 7. Interesting, but not conclusive. And I think I've kind of run out of orange cells to mark already. Well, T can't be in a 2-cell cage that says T, but well, so T's in one of those in box 2. No, okay, that didn't really get anything done. Okay, X. Can we use X? X could be 6 or 5, in which case in this row it could be a 2-cell sandwich. Otherwise it's a 1-cell sandwich somewhere. That would be quite interesting. Now R could be 0, remember, so we can't necessarily just not colour those red. In fact, it could well be 0. Oh, I mean, just the very fact that I've got these quads in 2 of the boxes mean I could easily pencil mark the other cells with 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. And that's quite interesting here. That's now a quad of 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, in which 4 must be in one of those cells and therefore is not there. This group is 5, 8, and 9. That's getting a bit of Sudoku done. Now, up here we had 2, 3, 7, 8. The others are from 1, 4, 5, 6, 9. Now, do I have to do work on what S is? It feels like that's a step too far at the moment. I was wondering, could this be red? Then S would be somewhere between 33 going down to 27. That would mean the other 3 cells in this box would be somewhere between 18 and 12. And that's very possible at the moment. C. Is C in use anywhere? Oh, C is 4 cells. So it adds up to at least 10. And that is the... that is... Right. C has a positive value based on that cage. E does based on this cage. And that means that in both of these columns, the sandwich has a positive value. That means there is a sandwich, and that means 1, 9 are not next to each other in this column or this column. And therefore, each of those dominoes has a 1 or a 9. C has a value of at least 10. So in this column, these cells cannot possibly be sandwiches. Crusts, I mean. E has a value of at least 8. Oh, but that, yeah, this is very likely to be E in this column, the sandwich. Sandwiched by a 1 and a 9 there, in which case E would be 8. If it's not there in this column, E, then it starts down here. Oh, I don't know quite what to make of that. There seems some interplay between columns 5 and column 2 there, but I don't know how to use that. So what else can I do with, well, I was going to say with this information. It's not as if I found any information, to be honest. Okay, in this row, we don't have a sandwich sum, but 1 is in one of those 2 cells. So that is not a 1. We've got 5, 8, 9 here. So X is not a 5 anymore. X is, I want to say it's 2, 3, 4, or 6. It has a value, and it is also a sandwich value, so it can't be 1. So it is 2, 3, 4, or 6. Actually, yes, it can't be 7 on this arrow. So X is 2, 3, 4, or 6, and it is sandwiched in the top row. What does that mean? Don't know. I feel like, weirdly, S is the... Oh no, of course I've got T as a sandwich. Now, if that was the T bit being sandwiched in column 1, this would be 1 and this would be 9, and we would have a real start on the puzzle. What did we work out? We worked out that the C sandwich was at least 10. And one of its crusts is here. The E sandwich is 8 or 9, and one of its crusts is here. So I was trying to say that couldn't be a crust, but it could if that was an 8. What about H then? We're between 3 and 16 for H. Do we know anything? Yes, we know it's a 3-cell cage here. It's at least 8. 1, 2, and 5 being the minimum we could consider putting in this cage. So H has a sandwich sum of at least 8 and no more than 22, I suppose, there. Well, no more than 16 in this cage. Oh, so H can't add up to any more than 16. This arrow, which is either 8 on the arrow and 8 in the circle, is either 16 or 18. So between that section of this box, these cells add up to no more than 34. And that means these 2 cells add up to at least 11. Now we don't have a cage called R anywhere, so we don't know that R isn't 0. I like these sort of coding puzzles, coded letters, but I would like to make better progress in this one. Ah, goodness, let's think about this again then. Or maybe let's think about this column. E there. E adds up to 8 or 9 here. I don't know. If E was 8, this would be 1, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 5 on the arrow. I don't know what that means. bother. Okay, let's have a look at this again. We've got 6 or 7 there, and that is the same as that one, T. Now this digit, where does that appear in row 6? It's got to be in one of these 2 cells, so it is 2 or 3, and that appears in one of these 2. I'm going to take pencil mark 2 out because it's confusing me a bit when I see 2s in those cells. Now this is H just as much as this adds up to H. We don't know what H's sandwich sum is, but we do know it's somewhere between 8 and 22. It's not 22 because there's a 9 in one of those cells. So, and it's not 21 because that would use 8, 7, 6. So H now has a maximum of 20. Oh, H here had a maximum of 16. That's a much more important maximum. I don't know, I want to use the minimum, but 125. Why isn't this 125? It's not 125 because this arrow couldn't be made up. So it can only have one digit from 1, 2, 3. Otherwise this arrow, again, can't be made up. So it could be 145 at a minimum. It's now got a minimum of 10. And that means this cell can't be a 1 anymore because of this cage having a minimum of 10. And that means that the 1 in this quadruple is on that side, and that means the 9 in this quadruple is on that side, because if you remember, E and C were both positive sandwich numbers, and their crust is here somewhere. So it's a 9 on this side and a 1 on this side. Now, what is that telling me? C's sandwich is adding up to at least 10 because of this cage. E's sandwich is 8 or 9. I keep on wanting to stop this being a crust, potentially. But it definitely could be, especially if E was 8 and in the sandwich there. So I just don't have the right to do that. Ah, but if E was 9, it could be those 2 cells added together. Oh, bother. Right, the T cage doesn't have a 1 in it up here, but it only adds up to 6 or 7. It doesn't have a 1 in it. So it's made up of 2 digits from 2, 3, 4, 5. Which are both green, i.e. not crusts, just as that bulb is, and that cell I've just seen, and X. Right, there's no crust here, so the C crust runs downwards, and is at least 10, we've worked out. So if that was the C sandwich runs downwards, if that was the crust being a 1, these could be 8 and 2, that could get us to the other crust here. Can we use these digits not including a 1? The trouble is I don't know about this 1-9 pair. I don't know which one is likely to be a 1 and which one is likely to be a 9. Sorry, I have to take this a bit more slow. Well, I am taking it a bit more slowly because I don't know what to do. There is a 6 or a 7 in this cage because we've marked it orange. So the minimum sum for this cage now is 165 is 12. So this cage has a minimum sum of 12 and this one does as well. And a maximum sum of 16. 12 to 16 in H. This can't be a 9-8 pair. So the maximum they can be is 7 and 9 is 16, with 18 there is 34, The minimum H can be is 11. That's no good. That's no good. That's not changing what we know about these cages. If X wasn't 6, this would be a 2, 3, 4 triple. Is that interesting? It would really force H's values a bit. Oh, or no, maybe it wouldn't. We already know these cells have a 6 or a 7 in from the pencil marking. I want to use this SK, or maybe this even square. I haven't really used that. If this was an 8, that would be a 9. This would be 2, 3, 7, which adds up to 12. I don't know. T is only 6 or 7. So that's only made up of low digits. And we're getting a lot of low digits in this column. Where do 8 and, well, I was going to say 8 and 7 go, but that could be a 7. And 8 could be there. It's not forced necessarily into one of these two. Oh, Y adds up to 5, 6, 7 or 8 in this row. So those two add up to 5, 6, 7 or 8. What is the range? I'm sorry, I can't work it out. It's anything low up to 6. 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. It can't be a 1 because that's a 1, 9 pair. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. We've got this T in the row, we've got Y in the row, we've got a pair adding up to Y in the row. I don't know. Now, this cannot be, if this was a crust, these would be the sandwich adding up to 6 or 7. There's no way for them to do that. 2 and 3 are the only low digits. They add up to 5. So this is not a crust. That's interesting. So where are the crusts in this column? Do they have to be here and here? That can't be. This can't be green in the column. Well, it can't be in the sandwich because it's too high. So it's got to be crust given its position. This can't be the whole of the sandwich. So this is in the sandwich and therefore is the whole sandwich. And now we know that E is 9 and we can fill those numbers in. And that just seems like a big step forward. This is now not coloured, it's green. I don't think it tells me which row the 1 is in there. That's fine. But this is a 1 and it's in the E cage and E adds up to 9 we now know. So it goes with an 8. And now that's a 2 in the even cell. And these are 3, 7, 8 as a triple, and that one's not 8. Now, the T sandwich will be dealt with in this column because it's there. 9, 1, 8, 2. That is not 9 or 1, and never was since I coloured it. That's not 2 now. X is 3, 4, or 6. Now, if there is a 1 on this arrow, it's there. Then this couldn't be 2, 6 or 4, 4. This would be 5, 3. And it can't be 5, 3 because 5 in the box is down here. 1, 5, 3 doesn't work. 1, 2, 6 doesn't work. 1, 4, 4 is impossible. There is no 1 on this arrow. It is a 2, 3, 4 arrow. And we are getting stuff done now. It's taken a while. 27 minutes in, but now it's coming. A 3, 4 pair makes that a 7. Makes T a 6 and 5 in the corner. 7 comes out of those cells, 5 comes out of all of those. X is 3 or 4, T is 6. That was the real information there. 6 for T. That's quite a full T table. 3 can't be in that cage. T is 6, so this is a 2, 4 pair. That's quite a big deal, surely. Have we got any other T cages or T T sandwich down here. So we've got a 6 there. Is that sandwiched, or is there a possibility there's a 2-4 pair in this column being sandwiched? Not sure. That's white. Now in this column, right, 9 is a crust. It's also the sandwich sum. But what does H add up to? Could it run down here? That's really interesting. No, it can't run down here, because E has to be a different number from H by the rules. So it's not just those 2 cells. It can't be all of those 3, or they'd add up to at least 10. So the sandwich goes upwards. That's in the sandwich, and this is the crust and is a 1. That's a 9. That's a 1. Let's get rid of some 1s there. Now these 2 add up to 9, so this is one of many possible digits. But 2 and 4 can't be in this sandwich, so 5 isn't in it, so it's a 3-6 pair. There weren't many possible digits after all. 1, 3, 6, 9, that can't be a 1, so this can't be a 5. This is a 6 cage. Now S up here is, I'm really straining to add this up, 24 in those cells. Just checking, yeah, plus either 4, 6 or 9, making 28, 30 or 33 for the sandwich here. 28, 30 or 33. Well, can you do 28 in 4 cells? No, you need a 5th one at least. 28, 30 or 33. They could all be 6 cell sums. This X, oh, we know what X, nearly know what X is. X is 3 or 4. Wow, well, these are quite low digits now. Is that going to matter? No, I don't know. I want to do more. Y is not a 6 or a 7 in this row. It is 5 or 8. These 2 have to add up to 5 or 8, and I can tell that that means this isn't a 4. That's interesting. So that's a 2. Now they can still add up to 5 and 8, but that places 4 in the S cage, just where we wanted it. Also, there's a 9 in one of these cells, but what can X be? 3 or 4? Well, X is now 4. And that is a crust, and we are cooking with gas. In fact, I have a suspicion about X and Y now that I should have had a long time ago and absolutely didn't. I'm just colouring some cells that can no longer be crusts now. There are quite a few around that I haven't done. This is a crust and is a 1, and that's a 5. Wow. Okay, now there is a 1 here, so there couldn't be a 1 on this side of this 1, 2, 3, 9, and the 1 in row 7 is there. There's a 1 in the C cage. There's a 1 right there in box 6. If I could just get it in there. And therefore, this is the T cell, that is 6. I'm going to remove the colours of T now and just do some pencil marking of 6s in boxes 7 and 8, mostly to remind me. In fact, it can't be there because of the 3-6 pair. Now H, do we know what H is? Not yet, actually. That's a 3 by Sudoku. This is 7 to finish the box. 3, 2, 7, 6, 9. This is 4 or 5 now on the bulb. And there's no 1 in these cells because the 1 in this box is on the 6 arrow, which doesn't have a 4 on it. So we've got a 2-3 pair as well. Now we have got a 5-8 pair, which can be coloured, and this is definitely a 1. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. This is a 7-9 pair. Still don't know what H adds up to. Oh, I've got 2 choices here for what H adds up to now. It's either 12 or 15. that would be, there are 3 ways of doing those numbers here. Oh no, there aren't, because I've got a 5 there. That's an 8. This is 4 or 7. Now there are 2 ways. But I need a 4 in this column by Sudoku. It's there. So 12 is H. Now that's a sandwich total in this column. Where's the 1 in this column? It's either there or there. So 9 is not here, because there'd be no way of making a sandwich total of 12 with either of those possible ones. So that's a 7. Does that have to be in the sandwich? I think this can't be 9, because the 1 couldn't be there, or the sandwich total would be nil, and if it was there you couldn't keep this down to 12 except by using another 1. So that is not a 9. That's a 9 and is coloured red. And that gives me loads more green colouring. There's quite a lot more that I haven't done in this puzzle. Trying to get it done now. Oh, we've got a positive sandwich total in this column, which means that's where the 1 goes. That might actually finish all of the sandwich colouring. I think it does, because that's now a 9, isn't it? Yeah. Oh no, I've still got 9s to sort out down here. Okay, we'll do that in a moment, but we've got a lot of colouring done. Now, that's good. This is not a 1, obviously. This adds up to 9 for the E total here, so that becomes a 4. That works fine, which is a relief. Y is 5 or 8, we said up here. We still don't know which it is. 69217. Oh, we do, because 6 is looking at that cell. It's really very obvious when you finally got things happening. Y is a 5. That works fine. Good. And this is a 4. Yes, and this was what I was kind of expecting to see after a little while ago. X and Y are 4 and 5. So the secret is 4, 5, as revealed by the top of the grid. That's quite funny. It's quite funny if you like that sort of thing, I suppose. C, do we know what C is? C is yet to be determined, but... Okay, let's do some Sudoku first before we close in on what C is, but it's going to be very important in resolving this. That is a 479 triple. That one's not 9, this one's not 4. This is a 235 triple. That's therefore 8. That's very obvious, really, isn't it? That can't be 6. Now, this H cage adds up to, what's H? 12. The minimum, well, it can't use both of 2 and 3. If it didn't use 2, it would be 3, 4, 5. That would be 8. Okay, that would work. If it didn't use 3, it would be 2, 4, 6, and that doesn't work. So it is 3, 4, 5. 4, yeah, 3 there, 5 there. That finishes off the whole row. I think that's going to do an awful lot of the puzzle. That's a 6, 9 pair. That's 7. That's 8. This is 5. That's 7. Now we know that C adds up to 21. That's the sandwich in this column, but we've only got to 15 so far, so that's a 6. There we go. We've got our last 2 crusts and our last 2 non-crusts. And this is a 7. And I think the rest is just going to come by Sudoku, which is where I like to be. 7, 8, 6, 4, 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spot. Light right towards the finish. Got a 2, 3 pair, and we're using the quadruple to resolve the deadly pattern. And we're finished. And that is... Oh, I did not get a tick. Oh my goodness, I hope this is just me entering a wrong digit somewhere. In one cell, or maybe in 2. How has this not worked? Everything that I'm looking at looks right, so... What have I done wrong? 682. I'm trying to check all the rows and columns. It's possible I've somehow unset my settings so I don't get a tick. Oh look, I've got 2 1s in the top row. That is not ideal. This cell has been mistyped as a 1 when it should be a 2, and there we go. Phew! It's a great puzzle. I do like that. It reveals the secret in a very unusual way, and you had to work your way through it very cautiously in some ways. Great fun there. Thank you, as always, for watching us on the channel. I hope you've enjoyed the stream. If you've watched this whole video before checking out the stream, go for it. It'll be interesting. And we will see you tomorrow on the channel, I hope, for more Sudoku. Bye for now.